What if your body is stuck in fight or flight mode / stress mode 24/7 and you don't even realize it? If you're always tight, tired, and wired, this video is going to show you how the nervous system might actually be the root cause of that and how to fix it. Today we're going to flip the switch and get back to feeling calm. What's going on, guys? Blake here. So many people are stressed on a nervous system level and don't even realize that they are stressed because they've been stressed for so many years. They've lost the capacity, something to compare it to. Their body has basically just completely adapted to being in a chronic state of stress all the time, and they don't even really realize that they are stressed. If this is happening and there is chronic stress, this is something really important to fix. The key to understanding stress is understanding your autonomic nervous system and the two branches that it has. One is called sympathetic nervous system. The other one is called parasympathetic, okay? Sympathetic is also known as fight, flight, or freeze mode. Parasympathetic is sometimes referred to as feed or breed mode, rest or digest mode. And the important thing to understand here is that these two branches of the autonomic nervous system are mutually exclusive to one another. They're like a seesaw. When one is on, the other is off, and vice versa. You can't be kind of stimulated in fight or flight mode and in rest or digest mode at the exact same time. Certain things will happen when you're in fight or flight mode, sympathetic nervous system. Your heart rate will go up. Cortisol and adrenaline, which are some of your stress hormones, they'll go up. You'll start to breathe more into your chest and your neck muscles. More mouth breathing will happen. Other things will happen, but amongst them, your HRV, your heart rate variability, if you measure that, it'll go down. These are all fairly normal things when we go into fight or flight mode, but we're supposed to come out of that. We're supposed to go into fight or flight mode for a little bit, come out of it. Lots of people are stuck in fight or flight mode, and we call that sympathetic nervous system dominance. And the real reason why this is so bad long-term is because, again, when fight or flight mode is on, feed or breed mode is off. And that is when the body goes through tissue repair, regeneration, and renewal. That's when the body processes inflammation, builds new immune cells, makes sex hormones. That's when it digests food and assimilates nutrients. The body goes through all sorts of different automatic physiologic repair processes that help to maintain and build more health and wellness and vitality when it's relaxed, when it's in parasympathetic, all right? So if you're chronically stressed, those things over there, the sympathetic things, they're happening, but what's not happening are the things that are supposed to be happening when you're relaxed. And then basically your body is not going through its repair processes, and what's going to happen is you're going to start to degenerate and expedite cellular aging, and pretty much every kind of health issue that you might have going on is going to get worse. And this is just simply due to the fact that the body's not going through its repair processes. So that's why it's important to actually learn how to get out of sympathetic nervous system and more into parasympathetic. Calmness is the cradle of power. Now, a lot of people just can't seem to do this. They're stuck in fight or flight mode, sympathetic nervous system. They can't get out of it no matter what they try. And a lot of this is due to people doing the wrong things for it. Right now, I'm going to show you some really effective things to do to shift from fight or flight mode more into parasympathetic, feed or breed mode, so that you can teeter that seesaw more favorably towards relaxation mode. Before I show you the tips and tricks to do this, I want to say that the easiest way that you can improve anything in your life is to start tracking and measuring it. People notoriously have a very poor ability to subjectively analyze their stress. Lots of people, like I said earlier, they're stressed and they don't even know it. There are somewhat easy ways to track and assess your stress. One of them, and my preferred way, is to use some sort of biofeedback device. I don't have any association with any biofeedback device, but any kind of thing like an Oura Ring or a Whoop or a Garmin watch, many of these track HRV, heart rate variability, which is a heart rate based metric. But what it really tells us is what's going on with your autonomic nervous system. An HRV that is high and is trending higher means that you're relaxing and you're more resilient to stress. An HRV that is low and is downtrending basically means that you are under a lot of stress and you're not recovering well. I say that because the things I'm going to share with you next are effective things to shift from fight or flight mode to rest or digest mode, but you kind of want to be measuring these. so that you can see what's working, what's helping you, what might be spiking your stress, so on and so forth. And that's where a biofeedback device comes into play. Now, when I'm working with one-on-one coaching clients, helping them to reduce their stress, which is super important because that unlocks the body's regenerative capacity fully, we start with the low-hanging fruit. Before we add a bunch of things in that can improve stress resiliency, we first remove things that are actually increasing stress, stressors that are oftentimes just not necessary and don't have anything to do with your work responsibilities, your relationships, or other things that are hard to change. So I want to tell you about some of these common stressors right now that will raise stress hormones because, like I said, in this two-step system to reduce stress and shift more into parasympathetic, we start with this stuff, okay? We address this stuff if it's there, and then we do step 2. The first thing to be aware of is alcohol consumption, right? Alcohol will basically raise levels of stress hormones the following day, okay? This is what alcohol does. It's proven to raise stress hormones, right? And it's paradoxical in some ways because, you know, a lot of people use stress to relax, and it will relax you. It's a depressant. But what happens the next day is it leads to an increased level of cortisol, which is your primary stress hormone. So if you drink to relax, the next day you're going to be more stressed. And if you're drinking because you are stressed, then you're going to drink again. And this just keeps you stuck in this vicious cycle of keeping your stress hormones elevated, all right? So as it relates to alcohol, we want to be mitigating that, all right? When I work with online coaching clients, I typically try to see if they're open to completely omitting alcohol because it's really not good for any organ system in the body. It's not good for sleep, which actually has a reciprocal relationship with stress, which I'll talk about in a second. It's not good for your hormones, your heart health, many other things, okay? Lots of times when I'm coaching clients, I'm reminding them of things that they already know, and I'm not telling them something that's brand new to them, okay? And with regards to alcohol not being good for you, that's one of those things. But more specifically, as it relates to this video, it raises stress hormones, and as long as that's in the equation, you have something there that is increasing those stress hormones, so mitigating that is pretty important. Low-hanging fruit number 2 on the list, which is another thing that people commonly use and sometimes abuse, which will also raise stress hormones, are central nervous system stimulants, right? Whether we're talking about caffeine, nicotine, or other recreational stimulants, these all typically will raise levels of adrenaline and cortisol, okay? Stress hormones. So these, kind of like alcohol, we want to be thinking about mitigating these if we can. If you're drinking like 5 cups of coffee a day, pre-workout, energy drinks on top of that, there's way too much central nervous system stimulants coming into the system, and those are all raising levels of stress hormones. I myself am personally a fan of using caffeine and sometimes even nicotine in the form of like lozenges or pouches because it is a nootropic. It can help you think and it increases cognitive function, but I do not abuse these things. And many times when I'm working with clients, I'll assess kind of where they're at, and instead of going cold turkey on that, I oftentimes encourage them to just simply mitigate the caffeine use. If you're drinking 5 cups of coffee a day, maybe try 1 and do the rest decaf. Anything that we can do to be bringing down the central nervous system stimulants is going to help calm down the nervous system, which again, in turn is going to upregulate your body's capacity to regenerate. The last low-hanging fruit thing is your sleep, right? Sleep and stress have a reciprocal relationship with each other. If you get poor quality and quantity of sleep, that will raise stress hormones, okay? And again, they have a reciprocal relationship. People that typically are stressed, they tend to have poor quality sleep and vice versa. So it's absolutely essential that you're getting good quality sleep at the right time and the right quantity of sleep as well, all right? For most people, going to bed between 10 and 10:30 is most optimal for circadian rhythm health. And then getting 8 to 9 hours of bedtime is good for most people, right? Most people don't have a perfect sleep efficiency, which means they might only be asleep for 80% of the time that they're in bed for. The other 20% of the time, they're restless, they're falling asleep, they're in between sleep cycles, they're getting up to pee, so on and so forth. So 8 hours is what we want total sleep time. But oftentimes we need to add a buffer to that and put ourselves in bed for more than 8 hours because there's a high likelihood, unless you're a perfect sleeper, that you're not actually sleeping for those full 8 hours. And that's why that buffer can be something that's recommended. Other things to improve deep sleep quality are blue light blocking glasses, like good quality ones, which are amber in color, the lenses, or red. I personally will use reishi mushroom, which is a Chinese mushroom that has been proven to increase deep sleep. I'll use that in tandem with magnesium before I go to bed, and I'll wear blue light blocking glasses for about 2 hours prior to bedtime. But again, as it relates to stress, what I'm going to tell you about next here are things that you can do to improve stress resiliency. These things that I'm going to tell you about now, which are step 2 of this stress reduction system, are not really going to be that effective if you're ignoring these low-hanging fruit things that I just talked to you about now. If you're drinking a lot of alcohol, you're getting really poor quality sleep, and you're using excessive amounts of central nervous system stimulants, these things that I'm going to tell you about right now are going to make very marginal difference at best, because these things all kind of help a little bit, 10%. It's those things I just told you about just a second ago. Those are the big low-hanging fruit things that we want to start with that will make the biggest difference in your stress. All right, so assuming that you're mitigating and addressing that stuff that I just talked about, here are a few powerful things that will improve your stress resiliency, help shift you more from sympathetic into parasympathetic. One of them, and the most powerful one, is to practice nasal-only diaphragmatic breathing, all right? When you breathe through your nose, there are nerves in your nose that are connected to the parasympathetic nervous system. Just breathing through the nose stimulates that relaxation branch of the autonomic nervous system. A lot of people that have chronic stress are chronic mouth breathers, right? And that's something that happens. You tend to breathe through your mouth more when your body's under stress. And it's a powerful signal to your body that you are stressed, and it actually kind of continues that stress pattern, right? So if we want to change our breathing patterns more so to one that is associated with relaxation, then we want to practice diaphragmatic breathing nasally, okay? All the time, we want to just be breathing through the nose. I use breathe right strips to help facilitate this, both when I sleep at night and oftentimes throughout the day. But to practice diaphragmatic breathing as a drill, what you want to do is lay on your back with your feet up, put one hand on your belly, put one hand on your chest, and you're just using the hand placement as a way to gauge where the expansion is occurring. And what you want to aim for here is you want the belly to expand for the first 2/3 of the inhalation, and you want only that last 1/3 of the inhalation to inflate the chest and neck area, okay? A lot of people that have chronic stress, they tend to breathe way too much in their neck and chest, and they don't get enough belly expansion, okay? So it should be 2/3 belly, 1/3 chest. And practicing this as a drill before you go to bed is a powerful stress mitigation strategy, okay? When you're doing this, don't just think about belly expanding, chest expanding. Think about the proper proportions and ratios, 2/3 belly, 1/3 chest, but also think about both your belly, your lower back, and your sides expanding 360 degrees around like a cylinder that's getting bigger. Right? When it comes to the rib cage expansion, think about that as well, right? A lot of people just focus on their belly going out when they're doing diaphragmatic breathing. You want everything to expand 360 degrees around like an apple core that's getting larger. Practicing diaphragmatic breathing before bed, 25 to 50 breaths of this is a powerful thing that will improve your HRV and your stress capacity. It'll lower your stress, get you ready for bed, help shift you into that parasympathetic nervous system. The next thing I want to talk about is humming. I know this sounds crazy, but studies actually prove that humming and long exaggerated tones can actually stimulate the vagus nerve in the neck, which is basically the tissue, the nervous system tissue that is the autonomic nervous system, the parasympathetic branch, all right? So you can stimulate that just by humming low kind of guttural noises and doing this for like 5 minutes, okay? I know it sounds weird, probably looks weird, but just something like this. All right, something like that, you get the point. If you do that for 5 minutes, all right, you'll feel a powerful difference with regards to your stress levels, I promise that. There's a lot of things I could talk about here. I mean, I do a lot of stuff with regards to this. I have like devices that like vibrate. I have vagus nerve stimulators that use electricity, but I'm trying to focus on things now that are like accessible to people and will really make a powerful impact. So, as it relates to that, humming and deep nasal diaphragmatic breathing are powerful things. Something that's really made a huge difference for me over the years too is the use of adaptogens, okay? Adaptogens are herbs that mitigate the release of stress hormone. They help with the stress response, okay? And some in particular actually blunt and mitigate the release of cortisol, your primary stress hormone, right? And one of the best ones that I've ever used, and I've been using it for almost 20 years now, is ashwagandha, all right? Ashwagandha, I love ashwagandha. Like I said, I've been using it for a very long time. What it can do is blunt the release of cortisol, which is your primary stress hormone, okay? I personally take it in the morning, okay? Because I typically have like a huge cortisol spike in the morning and then it stays like kind of elevated throughout the day. So I like to blunt that first thing in the morning before I start the day. I notice that I'm way more calm throughout the day and I just feel a lot better. In recent years, ashwagandha has been getting kind of a bad reputation because some people will say that it makes them feel emotionally numb, right? And I actually like that. All right, I don't like feeling a lot of emotional volatility throughout the day. I like being more even keel because I find that I'm more productive and I'm less volatile that way and less irritable. So I think that this is like personal preference, right? There are other adaptogens. There's many adaptogens. Ashwagandha is one, but I mean, there's Siberian ginseng, holy basil, reishi mushroom. These are all herbs and mushrooms that can help mitigate the release of stress hormones and help with the stress response. And I'm a big fan of a lot of these. Like I said, I've used them for almost 20 years. Ashwagandha was like the first one that I used, and it's still the one that I kind of use the most on a day-to-day basis. If you're going to use any of those, obviously do your research, ask your doctor and your pharmacist if that's right for you. But there you have it. I am somebody that's had a lot of stress throughout the years. I run businesses, I have a team, I make content on social media. A lot of this is stressful. And it's something that I've learned a lot about because I needed to for myself, just like how I know a lot about corrective exercise and biomechanics, helping people with muscle imbalances. I learned that out of my own need for that kind of stuff. Similarly, when it comes to stress management, I've learned a lot about that too, again, from my own need to be better at managing stress. Again, calmness is the cradle of power, okay? If you're stressed out, you're not going to be an effective human, and your body is not going to regenerate in the way that God intended. But that's it for today. I hope that this helps you out. Let me know down below if it did. Let me know what you want me to make videos on in the future. I'm always really eager to see what you guys want me to make videos on in the future. So let me know down below. That's it for today. I'll see you next time.